Good morning, or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. Hi. I thought I'd pop in real quick when I used to Happy Thanksgiving. I know I was going to do any videos, and I really haven't. Excuse me, I'm trying to get my hair to come down. But I just wanted to say hi to everybody, kind of give you an update of what's going on, and wish you a happy holidays. It's kind of weird. It's chaos out there in America right now. And really quickly, what I'm going to do is just talk about a couple of personal things real quick, and then we're going to move on to a couple things as we go into the holiday season. This has been really a rough month for all of us in my family. It kind of started when we lost a member of the family, our own personal Black Panther, our cat Bagheera. He was a good dude. Had him for a long time. He came to us, basically, he adopted us at our old home and came here and became big part of the family. So I'm glad he was with us, and he passed. And then came being getting old sucks, and I'm just going to tell you that. So this month, my company literally fired my boss out of the blue and hung us all out to dry on my team. What I do for a living is not easy. Sales is not easy, and distractions don't help. So it's been the month from hell. You're kind of hanging out there, you try and do your best. But one thing I've learned about sales, it doesn't matter. Who you are, what you do, doesn't mean shit. It's all about performance, and it gets tiresome after a while. One thing is I have to have insurance, health insurance, and that comes from my job, so I'm hanging in there best I can. So in 1 week, my wife and I went to see our doctors, or some specialists. I saw a cardiologist, and that was an interesting experience. And I've been told I need to get an aortic valve replacement, and that's going to happen in January, I hope. It's an interesting procedure. Look it up. It's not as you thought. It's basically it's literally pushing aside the old valve for the original valve for the new valve made of pigskin and wire. It was fascinating to watch. And then also and so that's something we have to kind of work our way into. So it's going to take a while, because I have to do some stuff before, because they got to see if they're going to do a catheter through your leg, or they have to do it through your shoulder, or literally have to do open heart surgery. You want to do it through your leg because they don't have to do total anesthesia. But that's on the back burner for me. My wife had to do there was a mass they identified through her last mammogram. They did an ultrasound. They wanted to do a biopsy, and they did. And then on Monday, the result came in, and she is positive for type 2 carcinoma. Of course, this happens at a holiday week, so we don't know anything. I'm still waiting we have to set up an appointment with the surgeon. She spoke to someone on Monday, and they're supposed to get back to her, but it's a holiday. And as I told a friend of mine, Bren here, was saying what's going on, it's a holiday, we don't know what's going on. We're trying to keep from fucking panicking stage of this. We're hoping it's just a quick removal, a little bit of treatment, and then we're good to go. So those of you who have reached out for me in prayers, I really appreciate it. It's a stressful time. You're just trying to keep keep the worst case scenarios out of your mind. As I said in my video earlier, it's when cancer enters the conversation, it just doesn't change anything. So that being said, so I was taking it off, and then I was starting to work today, and I just did not feel up to it, and I had some sick time. So I thought I'd reach out because I'm looking at everything going on. I want to kind of put my spin on anything. If you want to be a guest, if you know someone, just go ahead and reach out. I appreciate it. Maybe we can get into a good spirited conversation like the last one. So immediately, well, what the hell happened in Washington, D.C.? That's not good. First of all, I don't know. I'm seeing reports that the National Guardsmen have passed away or they're in critical condition. I don't know which is which. They haven't said anything. It's kind of up in the air. But it looks like it was... It looks like it was a drive-by or targeted, so I don't know what's next. The only thing I hate about this right now is that this is going to be the overreaction is starting. They're sending in more troops to D.C. The freakout's going to begin because it's not about that the crime happened. It's about that Trump declared D.C. crimeless because of his great efforts, but two National Guardsmen who were not home for the holidays, who should have been in their West Virginia homes, are now victims of this. And could have been anyone in D.C.? Yeah. I mean, it's a city. There's shootings all the time. But here's the thing. It's complicated now. And instead of the police handling it like they normally do, now it's going to become a national thing, a distraction. Hess gets involved. It's all fucking reality show bullshit. If you're watching it live, please hit a like so we can get some on the FYP. If you want to send me a gift, I would appreciate it. Right now, I'm counting pennies because I don't know how much everything's going to cost us soon, so I would appreciate it. But that's the thing about this. This was a crime. Okay? This is a crime. This isn't soothing. It's not indicative of D.C. because cities have crime. Hell, small towns have crime. Okay? And now there's going to be an overreaction just before the holidays. And I feel for the two National Guards people who were shot because they shouldn't have been there. They shouldn't have been there. There was no reason for that. Trump should have ended that a month ago, but no, because we have no Congress with any backbone except when they're trying to get rid of health care. This is what we get. So let's be honest. This is on Trump and the Trump regime. Those two people, those two guardsmen being injured, shot, murdered, all of it is on the Trump regime because they should not have been there. And that's the thing that's going to get lost in all this. It's going to be about, they're going to talk about, crime and this and that and blah, 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 but they're not going to bring up they should not have been there. They should not have been there. Period. And I wish people would understand that a lot of this shit that we're seeing, a lot of the chaos is Trump created. They create this because they love the drama. I mean, it's sad. It upsets me because I'm seeing two people who should be home for Thanksgiving, who should be home with their families in West Virginia, are not because of a man's ego. I mean, that's a fact. Let's place it all in there. And speaking of Congress, I'm going to touch on a couple of things here. Oh boy. As I told you in the beginning, that my wife and I are facing some health issues. Okay, I have a job with insurance, but this is going to cost me money. I really don't know what the co-pays are going to be. I don't know what it's going to be. I have to fight the insurance, this thing. I don't know what's ahead of us, other than this is going to cost us money to get this resolved. Should it cost us money? No. Insurance shouldn't be that. But see, I'm lucky that I have health insurance at least as a base. Understand, my health insurance costs me a month through my job $700 out of my paycheck every 2 weeks. $350. Not including my FSA. So why is it bringing up? Because we have the ACA out there, the American Care Act. All right, and you want to call Obamacare, whatever. That's what MAGA does. And the shutdown was about that, and Democrats gave in for Obama's vote. So Trump has said that he had a health plan coming up. Okay, he had one, and he was going to present it on Monday, but they backed away. Why? Well, first of all, from what I could see on this healthcare, it was just mirroring the ACA, still with subsidies for 2 years, but raising the debt, the kind of capping when you can get it, how much money, basically trying to fuck the poor as usual. That's what it is. I mean, the poor will pay the price for this. But what's going on in Congress is that Republicans do not want to extend the subsidies. They are determined to kill the ACA. And the way you kill the ACA is that you make it too expensive to use. They're going to let it die in the vine. It's basically like choking a vine. How do you kill a plant? Choke off its supply of water. That's what you do, and that's what they want to do. They'll choke out the water. They'll choke out everything. So what happens is people can't afford it, because at the end of December, the subsidies end, and then all of a sudden, it's a mess. It's a total mess, because then people are going to see their insurance bills go way up. Now, there's been talk about a health savings account. I've seen that. You could do that, like on my job, but that's to pay for certain things like daycare. But you can't do that in this type of system. Understand, the Affordable Care Act was designed originally for Medicare for all. But you weren't going to get it past Mitch McConnell and the Tea Party that came after it. They did not want that. They wanted something, and they got this hybrid. Okay? Now, to the extent the ACA is good, because it did affect other insurance parts, like when you have a physical, because I remember when it came in and he discussed it with our job, when you have a physical, it does anything that's preventative, they can't charge you for. That was a plus. Although I'd seen that kind of change little by little over time. And so it was a good thing, even though it wasn't what everyone wanted. But the thing that Republicans latched onto was that you're required to have health insurance. You're required to have health insurance as part of your taxes. You get that little tax form. There could be a fine. Okay. Great. That's what they latched onto. What they latched onto was the idea that that you were going to be required to have health insurance. How dare they? How dare they intrude on our civil rights? Blah, 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 blah. That led to the birth of the Tea Party. That led to Paul Ryan. That led to Kevin McCarthy. All that bullshit. Because if they didn't call it the Affordable Care, they called it Obamacare. Remember that. Okay? Now, it has been around for what? Over a decade? And people have used it. And it has been a benefit to many people who don't have insurance. But Republicans use that as a stepping point to MAGA. Trump used that as a way to get rid of it, because I'm going to come up with a great, unbelievable health plan to replace it in 2 weeks. In his first term, it was always 2 weeks. Infrastructure was every 2 weeks. He was going to do this, he was going to do that. And he never did. The famous 60-minute interview where they handed Leslie Stahl, here's the plan, and there's a bunch of blank pages. That's what we got with the first Trump administration. Well, come the second Trump administration now, they found a way to kill it. And the thing about it is, congressmen, let's see here, the offer, it's horrible, but man, I sure don't want to lose my ACA. Can't live with my ACA. Yeah, you got it. That's what Mike Johnson has already said. There is going to be no vote on subsidies. No vote on subsidies. Why? Understand, this man comes from a district where a good majority of people are on Medicaid and use ACA. But he doesn't give a fuck. This is about killing Obamacare. They think it's a win without a replacement. That's it. Republicans have no plans to govern. They just have plans to fuck shit up. That's all they did. They're all performative. I mean, look at the guy really quickly. We have that special election coming out on Tuesday in Tennessee that the Republicans are freaking out about. The Democratic woman, if you know who it is, please put it in the comments, because I'm kind of coming off the top of my head here. I would appreciate it. Also, please like this live so it goes on the FYP. If you want to give any gifts, I have a couple of goals here. I would appreciate it. Again, anything would be helpful at this time for me. She is there talking about what she's going to do for her Tennessee constituents. One of the things she wants to do, do you know, I didn't know this, and those of you in Tennessee has a tax on food, groceries. I have not seen that in years. There's a tax on groceries. If you go to the grocery store, like here in Georgia, you get taxed on non-food items. Okay, you don't get taxed on food items. All right, so if you, thank you, Bo, for the gift. If you buy Raid with your food, you get a tax on the Raid. But in Tennessee, they tax you everything. There's a 3% food tax. So much for, anti-tax, right? Yeah, I'm doing okay, Bo. I'm hanging in there. Just trying to adapt. As I said earlier, I'm trying to get my man. Again, to Bo and to Brent, thank you very much for your kind words. Everyone who's given me kind words about the situation, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I think that's going to help me as much as anything else. And like I said, I don't normally put this out in the public, but therapy. And you're cheaper than my therapist. Because, you know what I'm saying. But, so I appreciate you. Well, but she is working, says, this is what we're going to do for my constituents. Not only in Congress, but to work for you in Tennessee. Her opponent, who's straight MAGA, he's running on a pro-ICE agenda. That's right. I'm going to support ICE, and we'll make sure we get all rid of them illegals in this district, because we want to make sure all the Americans can work picking fruit and domestic. It's all bullshit. It's performative. And Trump is supporting him because he's a MAGA warrior. Now, this is a district that went to Trump for 22% last election. Can the Democrat win? I don't know. I want to say it's going to follow the blue wave that was earlier this November, the only highlight this November, but I don't know. To be honest, I don't trust Tennessee voters because the voters in his district are majority older folk over 70. And you know them boomers, they're just down with it. Yep, he's like 2-1 on this younger person, on the Democratic candidate who is polling 2-1 for the younger voters, 40 and under. But I just don't get. I don't get these people, Republican voters. You're 70 years old, and I know what it is because you got yours. Fuck everyone else. All right, and you've hated your neighbors. If you're 70, you probably went to the civil rights movement, and you didn't like the way it changed. So this is your last shot at sticking it to people of color. And Republican vote, people who vote Republican, I don't understand. Because it's not about, to me, it's never been about policy. It's about owning the libs or cruelty or screwing people. I don't get it. I mean, do you like watching what ICE does? Because they're not enforcing laws. They're creating chaos. They were in St. Paul, Minnesota today, and people were all over them. Why? I mean, just before the holidays, why? What is the purpose of all this? I don't know, other than cruelty, other than hate, other than, as I've said for months, ethnic cleansing. And the most disappointing about watching ICE agents are black ICE agents and Latino black ICE agents. Just a reminder, do you see what's about to happen to Kash Patel? When everything goes down, you're the first ones they toss under the bus. You're the first ones they toss under the bus. Is that Acton Ben? Thank you, Plazero. Yeah, so if you're in Tennessee, hopefully she'll win. I don't know. And the thing about it too, let's talk about what's going on in the House. So Marjorie Taylor Greene retired, or is going to quit. Fuck retirement. She's quitting. She's fucking quitting. Okay, she wants to run for state office here in Georgia. Now, make this clear: Georgia's a purple state. Okay. Yeah, that's true. They would cut off a finger for people to hate to lose a hand. Trust me, the day after to get her pension, correct? Yeah, that's one thing about Republicans or Republican voters. Literally, the economy could collapse. The economy could collapse. They could be destitute. They could have nothing, but as long as they own the libtards. Or Trump is happy. Whatever. But that's not the way you run a government. That's not the way you do shit. If anything about this Doge thing showed that for all the 40 years of lies, government has a purpose in your life, which is to deal with stuff. And I want to talk about Congress, and I was there. So she's resigning, and a lot of congressmen, longer Republican, there are 23 Republicans retiring from Congress before coming up for the next year, next session of Congress. They're not running for re-election. A lot of them are talking about leaving early because Mike Johnson has made them into a hostile workplace. The Trump administration regime has said they own Congress and they treat congressmen like shit. So they want to leave early because, well, they're cowards and they don't want to deal with it. Which could be, as people have said, then you have to wait for special elections, but if they go under 218 and the Democrats have enough, then that means Hakeem Jeffries can Speaker of the House. Will it happen? Who knows? Could it get accelerated if Afton Ben wins that seat in Tennessee on Tuesday? Yeah, it's a good possibility. But right now, one thing we have to understand is that Marjorie Taylor Greene leaving has nothing to do with what she believes. Okay. She got into a tiff with Trump because it's a strategic move. All right. Does she believe the whole Epstein thing? I don't know. Honestly, I don't. Because that woman has been Trump's biggest supporter for what? A decade? She was there. She was there from day one. Her first, even before she was in Congress, she was supporting him during the January 6th bullshit. Okay. She's been rumored as one of the planners before the riot started and to try to take over the country. She was part of the fake electors campaign. Side note, yeah, they dropped the case here in Georgia, which I wasn't surprised, but I blame this on White House tours, correct. I blame that Merrick Garland, because that should have been handled. Again, when history is written, Merrick Garland's going to be a villain in this piece, counting what happens to the American Republic, because he got twisted. I haven't heard a word from him. And also, Biden has to take some heat on that, because he didn't want to press it. He still looked at it as a political problem. It's not a political problem. It's a criminal issue. The man committed a crime, but now he's rewriting history. Hence if you're wondering where the January 6th people have been partnering at, look under their ICE mask. They're all ICE agents. Arthur, wasn't she the one who dropped those bags and clothes outside the Republican? The RNC and DNC, that still has been that's been something that people have speculated for years. Yeah. And if you listen to her talk afterwards, she talks about jobs and tangible, but it's still the same conservative bullshit. We have to remember one thing. If these people resign in their special elections, we have to remind everyone that every time a Republican's running for Congress, they are still MAGA. Conservatism is MAGA. It hasn't changed. It will not change. Their focus is performative. Their focus is on mass deportations. Their focus is keeping the billionaire class happy. Okay? That's the truth. Yes, the Tea Party was before MAGA. Well, it was the beginning. It became MAGA. Tea Party was basically MAGA light. They were specifically against Obama. They didn't like they considered the ACA as a tax. It was a bullshit thing. It was a way for them to be literally racist. They were. And it led to a power base. Because people are stupid. People are stupid. Let's be honest. American voters are not the brightest bulbs. Okay? That's how Trump got here. They're not. They got conned. Either they got conned because they believe in Trump. Because there's a 30% hardcore that believe in Trump regardless. They're basically a cult. And then you have the so-called independents who try to weigh both sides. Like Trump has a second side. Like fascism has a second side. And then you have the far left who don't like anybody, so they're going to screw us overall because they won't vote, as we saw in the last election, in the last general election, what brought us this disaster. They're not off the hook. And that's the thing. We have to make a clear line between far left progressives and democratic socialists. Okay? We have to understand this is not about socialism. This is about returning us to the rule of law. When I was with Mike on the national, I did this podcast this week, we talked about that. And part of the problem is the Democratic Party is still corrupted by corporate donors, mostly AIPAC. If you caught Ted Cruz's act the other day in Texas, where people were pressing him on what the Israeli government, and I have to go ahead and preface this. When I talk about Israel, I'm not talking about the Judaism or Jews in general. I'm talking about the government who's run by a man who's going to do anything to keep out of jail, and that means continuous war. But Ted Cruz's money, Ted Cruz is basically run by AIPAC. The AIPAC is the biggest donor in Congress. Everyone gets AIPAC money. AIPAC lays down the rules, and they follow them. See Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, and Ted Cruz, who told an audience to their face they were just objecting to what the hell, how are we giving money to Israel when we can't take care of ourselves, and why are we letting the Israelis do what they're doing? It is not right. That's not, they are not prosecuting a war. They have said it, they're prosecuting a genocide. That's a fact. Sorry, that is a fact. Okay? And he just said, if you're with Israel, you're not going to talk. He walked away. You saw Eric Adams go to Israel, to Jerusalem, after he lost the election, and said, hey, I was proud, I'm very proud to serve you as a mayor. To Jerusalem. That's how deep it is. So the point is that these people have too much deep ties on the Democratic side. And so when the primaries should come up, we not only have to make sure, the general election, that Republicans, we don't get fooled by their bullshit. I don't support Trump. Doesn't mean you don't support the same things he believed in, or MAGA, or conservatism. What you want to make sure that on the Democratic side, we start cleaning the house from these corporate Democrats who take money from companies that play both sides. That is Jeffries. That is Schumer. That's why Jeffries is getting worried about his primary. Because here's the thing. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. And I'll say it again. It's a lie if they think if you go into a general election with a Republican versus a Democrat who kind of leans the way Zoran Mondani does, tries to explain the benefits of government where that helps you out, like basically not destroying your market by not with tariffs, to make it more affordable by getting rid of tariffs, really bringing in manufacturing in the United States. This not this AI lie, literally rebuilding, as Biden said, from the middle class out, from the up and out, not from down stepping on everyone. That's going to be a winning message. It is a winning message now. Republicans are gearing up for the midterms by labeling all Democrats as socialist jihadists. They ain't going to work. That ain't going to work. If you're here and there, please like the live so we can spread it out a little further. If you want to give any gifts, I do have goals. I would appreciate it. Thank you. Just want to put that out there as we're here. Every little bit helps. So, what we have to look at Congress coming up in the midterms, this is not even about getting a Democratic majority. Now, let me make this clear. If someone tries to primary a Democrat and they lose, we still vote Democrat because the Republican side is just as bad. Trust me, I live in Georgia. I'm already seeing the ads against Jon Ossoff, and they have the fucking gall to blame Jon Ossoff for higher prices. Literally, I saw this commercial today. And I'm going, are you kidding me? The main guy running against Ossoff, or wanting the nomination, is a guy named Buddy Carter, a congressman who's straight MAGA, considers herself a MAGA warrior, uses Trump in his ads. That's not a winning. I don't think that's a winning strategy. I know that's not a winning strategy here in Georgia. There's a contemporary here that was talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene running for statewide office here in Georgia. All she has to do is convince a few of the white folk, and everybody's okay because she's one of them. Let me make it clear. This is a purple state. In the November election, 2 public commissioners became Democrats, one on a 2-to-1 margin. 2-to-1 margin. I didn't even know there was an election for that. I'm pissed about that. I would have voted. I didn't know I could. I had no idea. And they still won. Easily. It was not even close. All right? And that's just on an off-year election. And if Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks that she can get nominated for Senate, sure. And she'll get run over by Jon Ossoff. Jon Ossoff will eat her alive. Why? Because he's done tangible things in office. And he has a message. Marjorie Taylor Greene has bullshit. She's always been. She's never passed a piece of legislation. Never. So she has no base here in Georgia. She may have her voters in Cobb County, in that area, in Rome, Georgia, but it ain't gonna happen. Sorry. Not working. So what I'm saying is, they're going to, the corporate Democrats are going to use if you don't for the established Democrat, you're going to have a newcomer going out against a Republican, and they're going to get rolled over because they're going to use their old tricks on them. Bullshit. Because those old tricks aren't going to work anymore. No one wants these old tricks. How much more can you get out of transgender and drag queens and ICE? Because we've seen what immigration's done. It's not helping. It's actually pulling apart the economy. And let's talk about something that a corporate message was made to Americans by Tyson Foods. Okay? Tyson Foods is closing their biggest meat processing plant in Nebraska at the end of December. 3,000 jobs will be lost. Understand, 4 companies process the majority of meat in this country. That was one of the problems with COVID, because you couldn't, when that happened, people were, that helped cut the supply. So the reason they're saying that is because cattle's too expensive to process at that plant anymore. No, I'm not buying that bullshit. This is a warning to us. Warning to cattlemen. Yeah, they voted for Trump. I would agree with that, Shane. They did. They voted for Trump. But that's a message for all of us. Okay? That's a message that don't fuck with the corporations, because we control everything. We control your food supply. And once they take that offline, like I was telling Mike, I don't know what you guys have paid. If you're in here, just tell me what you think. Right here locally, hamburger meat, which is the cheapest thing you can buy. I thought about this when Fox News was going to that. Well, why don't you just use Hamburger Helper? You don't have to buy steak. Fuck you. You need the hamburger for Hamburger Helper. And when the hamburger is $10 a fucking pound, what's the difference between getting that and a steak? You can get a chuck roast for $9 a pound. It's the same fucking thing. And that probably more. I mean, because we're looking at that. And so they're going to force, that's going to limit its supply. And to those of us who know economics, supply and demand, if you have a demand but you reduce the supply, what happens? Prices are going to go up even further. And I don't know how they're going to spin that. As you saw in the Sunday shows, Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, said, you want to reduce your inflation? Go to a red state. A red state. Are you out of your motherfucking mind? I live in a red state. Trust me. It's just as expensive as California. by the way of prices, relative. Gas may be cheaper because you don't have a state tax, but it doesn't mean everything else is not cheaper. Trust me. And that's the thing. There's less opportunities, less jobs. There's less manufacturing here. Georgia officially is in a recession. They won't say it. So they're lying to you. Or I believe Trump said if you want, if you don't go to the store that much, you won't have a problem with prices. Yep. Second day to blackout, don't spend money. Yeah, I agree. That's going to be a tough one. Hopefully it'll make an effect. But no one's really saying anything about it. So it's another thing, he's destroying the country on purpose. He's acting like he's trying. Arthur Dodger, your statement, I'm going to bring something up that buy it up on the cheap. I don't even know that he cares about that. Because he knows he's not going to be around for the cheap. Okay. Rick Wilson made a comment is that everyone keeps talking about Trump's a lame duck president, so they don't care. But see, the Trump cares about his legacy. And part of it is if he wants to burn it all down. He just enjoys destroying stuff. Look at all his businesses. Again, I will say this to the day I die, hopefully not soon. Who the fuck ruins a casino? Okay? How do you ruin a casino in Atlantic City? Take out the hotel part, okay? Or aging part. You can still run a casino on the gambling thing if you're right. The house always wins. But dear Lord Almighty, only Trump can, Shane said. Only Trump can. Because he doesn't get it. He ruins everything. And right now in the United States, let's be honest, that whole Dodge thing was a loot the Treasury. They looted the Treasury. The money that they cut out of Dodge, or the employees and all that money was already designated for use by the Congress. Okay? Dedicated for use by the Congress. And it was just ripped up by them. And now that Doge is dead, they're acknowledging Doge is gone. It's finished. The people who work there are worried about criminal charges. Yeah, because it's going to happen. Because you went in there and illegal, ripped stuff out. You're going to go to jail. Not Trump. Not your bosses. Not Elon. Elon's out getting $1 trillion running around. You're going to jail. You guys, you thought you were all hot shit. You ain't shit. You're going to jail. It's going to happen. Find yourself some lawyers. All right? So, I guess what I'm saying overall is that when it comes to the elections coming out and the immediate stuff, we have to keep the eye on the prize. The eye on the prize is don't trust Republicans, period. Republicans are really sick. And they basically need a big tumor removed and a lot of chemotherapy to fix them, if they were ever been fixed at all. Yeah, where's my $2,000? Where's my money anyway? Shane, I'm going to say this. Where's my money? Anyone who's watched Family Guy, I'm just going to be stupid. Where's my money, man? Where's my money? What'd you do with my money? I want my money. Where's my money? I mean, that's honest. He's spending money now. I think he's in Florida again. Is Trump in Florida again? People are getting murdered in D.C. and he's in Florida? I don't know. I mean, hopefully someone had bet that he's one of my guests that he's not going to make it to Thanksgiving. It's got to be close. Again, go ahead and like this live so I can spread it on FYP. I'm going to go a little further until I run out of gas physically. If you, I have some goals. If you wanted to contribute, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Anything helps at this time. But that's the eyes on the prize. And then we have to address a lot of things that are going on right now. Where do I like it? I don't understand the question. For Dodger. So we we have to talk about all this weird shit. Hey, Oliver's mom, how you doing? Weird shit that's going on in the fringes of everything. Hey, how's it going with the prosecutions? They're gone. Just hit like. If you hit like, then it kind of comes up on FYPs if you get more likes, more hearts. That's the way it works. Arthur Dodger. And so I've never seen anything as bad as that, because the original prosecution of Comer and Letitia James, the prosecutors who are true federal prosecutors said, no, I ain't doing this. We can't do it. There's no there. They got fired by Pam Bondi and Trump. So Trump puts in Leslie Halligan, who's a fucking insurance lawyer, has never been in federal court, and basically she lies to the judge about the grand jury testimony or the grand juries. And basically Comey says this is new, and the judge says, yep, and you're gone. And the problem we have right now, they're going to try to redo it, and Pam Bondi is trying to defend Leslie Halligan, but the problem is she's complicit too. Just a quick note to Pam Bondi. John Mitchell says hi. Remember, Nixon didn't go to jail, Mitchell went to jail. And you're going to go to jail too, because you're finding out real quick. Also, hey Kash Patel, how's that all working for you? I warned you, bro. They don't want you. Trump just tossed you a bone, but you look like me. They don't want us. You're the first one to roll heads. You see what happens there. Just crazy out there. I mean, half the shit you see, you don't know what to react to. Because it's just strange. This whole thing with Mark Kelly and the senators, I'm reading. So here's Kash Patel trying to save his ass, okay? Apparently, the FBI is saying, thank you for the gift, Artful Dodger, is saying that, is calling up these congressmen saying, we're going to investigate you. Yeah, we're going to come and talk to you. And they're going to say, talk to us about what? What crimes? What are you going to talk to us about? What? What are you going to get questioned about? That is Kash Patel trying to save his phony baloney job. Okay. Understand, this guy has no being an FBI agent, an FBI person, period. He has no background in law enforcement. Understand, at the end of the 2020 Trump term, he almost became the CIA director. Till everyone in the CIA said, we're going to walk out the building if you put him in charge. Okay? So he becomes the FBI director, and what's he do? He starts getting rid of regional senior FBI agents. Starts getting rid of them. I mean, like in Utah, everywhere, all the regional FBI directors he gets rid of. Why? Because it's a power grab. And what does this guy do? Do you know him and Kristi Noem were spending American money, and they were at the F1 race in fucking Vegas? I can't even. What are you doing at the F1 race? FBI director, Department of Homeland Security? How'd you get there, Ardime? What are you doing there? Don't you have more important things to do? Do you know that the actual things the DEH is supposed to, and the FBI is supposed to investigate, like drug trafficking, laws, money laundering, crime, they're up. Why? Because you're concentrating on immigration. And that's even a joke, because you're not getting criminals, you're getting just normal people. Because why? Because that's what you are. They're grifters. They're grifters. Kristi Noem has already is still sending people to Venezuela. It's not supposed to against a court order. She's violating court orders. She's got a grift going on with all this advertising they keep playing. I'm glad I have YouTube Prime because I understand that if you don't, you see a lot of ICE ads on YouTube. You know, become an ICE agent. Let's see here. With this much corruption, you think they would have an exit plan? They probably do because they have our money. Trust me. The whole thing about Snap, they looted the Treasury. There's people taking our money. It's literally, if you've seen any Scorsese mob movie, the one with where they buy the bar and they force the guy to sell them the bar or whatever, and basically they're bringing in all the like supplies and everything, not paying for it, and taking it out the back door, literally, and selling it and making money, and then they burn the bar down to the ground afterwards for the insurance money. That's basically who's running the country right now. And unfortunately, I'm afraid to get into the burning part right now. In less than a year, they've really bankrupted everything. And it's all about... Trump is in a fight with his architect over the ballroom. Over the ballroom because he wants it bigger. And the architect says, you can't do it. It's not physically possible in that space. And the east wing is destroyed. It's gone. They're not building that ballroom. They're not. And where's this money coming from? Because it's illegal if it's coming from private donors. They have to go through the process because you can't build anything in D.C. without the process of going through it because it's a historical town. But he does what he wants. Why? Because Congress lets him. That's what happens when you have a weak Congress. When you have a weak speaker whose idea is just, instead of being a congressman for your district, you serve Trump. That's another thing to remember. Is your congressperson going to serve you or corporate donors or Trump? That's an important thing to remember as we get along with that. Now, or they figure they won't do anything. Yeah, that's the thing. They won't do anything because there's no hearings. There's no one being called to task. That's why they fear the midterms. So as the midterms flip, there will be hearings. There will be people called to task. Now, can we do anything? Not with the DOJ as it is. And here's the thing. The idea of impeaching Trump, if we have both sides of the House and the Senate, does not appeal to me. Why? Because it won't matter. Because you end up with J.D. Vance. And you're going to end up with the same Republican bullshit. Personally, I let him suffer as president and just make his life miserable. Thwart him every turn. Because I don't think, honestly, that... Forgive me one moment. I don't think, honestly, he's going to be long for this world. Because you look at him, they're already saying that will still be in effect. Look, we're going to do what the Orthodox. Let me tell you what happens. When everything collapses, everyone in his regimes end the same way. Badly. And when things collapse, there is going to be no statute of limitations. There's going to be tribunals and hearings like the South Africans did. Okay? Because a lot of the crimes that were done under apartheid were decades old. That didn't matter. They did tribunals and drag people out. And that's what we're going to do. And that's a warning to all you, ICE agents. Hey, guys, you're not going to have immunity. Stephen Miller's lying to you. You are going to pay a price for the crimes you're committing. You will be found. You will be weighed. And you will be convicted. That's the way it's going to happen. Because here's the thing. What you're doing, and that includes human rights, this is how fucked up they are right now. Okay? They have declared the Trump administration has declared, or regime, that that I always mess this up, LBGQTA rights, DEI rights, I don't know what else the other thing, are violations of human rights. I heard this, I'm going, this is the people running in there. That's Project 2025, trying to get more stuff in before Trump shuffles off this mortal coil. They want more, they want more, they want more. And that's right. Tribunals will happen. LGBTQ, thank you. I always do it. Thank you. But you hear this is insane. And the whole thing, and I know I jumped, and I really appreciate you guys because my mind goes, at times, it just jumps. The whole thing we're going with Ukraine, Stephen Witkoff is just a real estate guy. He has no diplomacy, okay? And he got this job because he's a donor with Trump and knows how to work him. So him telling the Russians how to work Trump, he knows. That's how he got his phony baloney job. That's how we ended up with this 29 so-called peace plan. That's not a peace plan. It's a surrender. That guy literally, let's be honest, committed treason against the president. He really sold out the president of the United States in these negotiations. I know how you can get him to do what you want. Let me show you how, because that's how I got what I want. And tell me now that's not treason. Tell me how that's not treason if you're trying to negotiate with enemies of the United States. I don't get what Trump says. Russia is an enemy of the United States. Okay? So, explain that to me. But you can't. Now they're saying that Steve Witkoff should be removed. Steve Witkoff shouldn't even be part of negotiations. Marco Rubio, who is supposed to be the Secretary of State, is not even in these negotiations. They're private negotiations with this Trump lackey and Dmitriev, who is a Putin lackey. And they're coming up with all this bullshit with the Russians running the show. Because he's telling them how to convince Trump because he is buying into what the Russians are selling him. They were all being influenced by these outside, our country's been influenced by these outside agitators. See Twitter or X. All those accounts with hundreds of thousands of people in it. It's all a lie. They worked you. God, it's ridiculous. How gullible can you be? But they are. They're gullible beyond belief. So, it's just crazy. I can't, and that's the thing. That's not how you do business. That's why the Canadians don't trust us. I guess there's an election going on in Canada. Those are my Canadian folk. Please tell me, because there's this, I guess your Maple MAGA guy's back, and he's complaining because Carney doesn't want to negotiate with the United States. And he says, I don't care about the United States, because he's right, because they don't trade. We can't trust Trump. And that guy is running that we need to trust the United States. Are you out of... No. No one trusts the United States. And we still have the threat of war in Venezuela. Why? Because it needs a distraction. And why hasn't he moved on it? I'll tell you why he hasn't moved on it yet. Because he's getting pushback from Republicans in the House. The Epstein thing was just the beginning. Now they're warning him about going to war in Venezuela. The boats, the assassination of the fishermen, the bombing of the boats. Let me make that clear to you guys. They are already determined illegal. And the CIA has an entire legal branch designed to keep people from going to jail from violating the law internationally in the United States. Okay? So, legal lawyers have come to Hesketh and the Trump administration and said, we can't do this. That's illegal. You cannot bomb a boat because you don't know what's in there. And these guys have even been fired or reassigned. They're not listening because they are focused on giving Trump what he wants, his reality, what he wants. And we're committing these crimes so the world does not fucking trust us anymore. And it's going to be hard for them to trust us again because we may vote someone crazy like Trump again. It's going to take a total strip down of both the Republican and Democratic Party, and we come back to not where we were, but better than we were. It's going to take a while to rebuild this. Because literally, what Trump has done to the example, what Trump has done to America, to our trust in the world, to our economy, to everything, is what he did to the East Wing. It's been there for centuries. It has a lot of history. It had a purpose. It stood tall. Was it boring? Yeah. But it had a lot of history. People, that's what's part of the White House, part of America. And he knocked it down. Why? Because he could. And also because it bothers him. Because that's a history. That is greatness that he can never achieve. That's the thing. He keeps wanting everything. He wants to make himself a legacy. Yeah, he made himself a legacy. It's a bad legacy. When you start thinking about your mortality, and trust me, in the last month, I've been thinking about that. You don't know what the next step. You really sit there late at night, and you don't know, for you, your loved one. When you start thinking of mortality, there's a line. When I saw Hamilton years ago, it was about 5 years ago, we went to Chicago to see Hamilton. And I didn't know I was going to watch this and cry through the show. But the thing that really caught me was the end. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story. And you have to look at it that way at this point. What do we leave behind as a legacy, as ourselves? What are people going to say around the Thanksgiving table later on in family? I remember them when they did this, when they were like this, when they did this. What they're going to remember about us. That's a hard thing to think about. It really is. Because it's kind of scary. What impression did you leave? I mean, my father passed away less than a year ago. And I have good impressions and I have bad impressions. And in the end, I miss him because I could talk to him about stuff. He wasn't perfect. He taught me to be dogged. He also taught me, being a Puerto Rican, I got his anger, which I think is a good thing at times. My mom, who died close to almost 30 years now, taught me the idea of grace, to be a good person all times, to stand with your family. When anyone calls a person a mama's boy, I'm going to say this really straight up to all you guys. We're all mama's boys. And I'm 63, and I wish my mom was here. As simple as that. I wish. And the hardest thing facing this thing with my wife and her breast cancer is that I don't want my kids to feel like that. I don't want them to go through that. I did. I mean, they lost their grandma, but I lost my mom. And I don't want them to go through that. I really don't. So that's normal for all of us. The problem with Trump, he makes it performative. How can a man think about talking about he's going to find his way to heaven by buying his way in. But our cultural beliefs of First Nation people is that our love surrounds and protects people. Hold on one moment, I got to do something for TikTok. Hold on a minute. There we go. Surrounds and protects the future people. Yeah, the ancestors. Well, I believe in the ancestors. I do. Our ancestors, those of us who came before us, I think they do affect everything. I mean, it's kind of funny, and it's going to be, this is a weird example, forgive me. The pets who have passed away, we have their ashes in jars. We have a little display in place. Our live cats go there and sit in front of it. And I do believe that the spirit of the ancestors, because it makes sense. And I think it matters, and I think that spirit rolls through all of us. That's why I think when everyone talks about what's going on in America, when you see people get pissed off about ICE and all that, let's see here, they walk with strength when times are hard. We have to feed them with our prayers. Yes, we do. That's correct, Bo. I didn't know you're First Nation. I appreciate you. Thank you, sir. And here's the thing. I think that still goes through the entire United States, because if we were so compliant, the elections aside, but when you see the reaction to ICE and things that are out of sort, how people react right now, you can't tell me that's not everything that the United States is. All the fighting, all the things we believe in, not rising up from everyone who's been here before, saying, oh, hell no, and they move us toward that. Because Americans do not capitulate. We don't. We don't. We have our disagreements. We do stupid shit. We usually fix it. But we don't capitulate. We don't give up. I've got to watch the Ken Burns his thing on the American Revolution. I got to find it and read it and watch it, because it's probably going to be as good as the Civil War thing. But people are saying that a lot, what his research is showing, that the forefathers did what they wanted to do. And again, I'm going to step away from the slavery part, because I think that was a mistake, but they had to do what they had to do for the southern states. Not an excuse, the practicality. You know, I wasn't there in the room where it happened. But they built something that was supposed to last and be about the people. Power of the people, for the people, by the people. And we kind of got a little perverted, but I think we're starting to push back on that right now. Because they hated the idea of political parties, and then ran and created political parties. It's just a problem. But what I despise, the idea to a lot of people who really don't like anything. You see, I'm going to say this straight up. Believe it or not, I'm a patriot. I believe in America. Why? Because America's kind of been good to me. Has there been problems? Yes. Is it perfect? Oh, hell no. It shouldn't be perfect. But I was able to make a living, raise a family, I own a home. I worked hard for it. But I did not do it stepping on everybody else or saying that other people couldn't have what I have. I could say that with a clear conscience, that I always will help people rise up as opposed to step on them. And the idea of being tough or being a man or all that, this has nothing to do with being tough and stepping on people. It's being tough, standing who you believe on, and helping others. Because that's Trump way is not the American way. Because that's the American way. The reason we have immigrants coming to the United States, we encouraged it. We encouraged it. It's to build up and take part of the American dream. Okay. And that's part of it. Did we do some damn nasty things? Yes. As Native Americans. But to watch them pervert that, the American dream has been perverted by people who do not understand the American way. Let that sit with you for a second, okay? They don't they don't understand the American way. Okay? We have had problems. We have been racist. We have had Jim Crow. We have had all that. But I will tell you this, even in the time of Jim Crow, okay, even we still care about our neighbors, okay? We care about those around us, those who we love, those who we interact with, okay? I thought the funny thing of watching what happened in Charlotte was a surprise by ICE agents, although a lot of people got arrested, are now in American concentration camps. And please, for God's almighty sake, Democrats, when you take power, please start going after those private prisons, those detention camps, and free those people. Because we have concentration camps in this country right now. People are being detained other than only to feed this corporate machine that has been developed. Please, for Lord Almighty's sake, deal with that. Because that's worse than ICE. And many people go to jail over that shit. But the American way has always been trying to look out for one another. It's strange. If you look at old stories, at old TV and all that, even the old westerns, and if you watch enough Gunsmoke, you watch a lot of old westerns and stuff, do you notice that it's about taking care of those who can't take care of themselves, righting wrongs, bringing up justice, fighting the rich guys? Okay? You ever notice that? The rich landowners who are the evil ones in these? I mean, do you see it? That's the American way. See, Americans don't mind you making money. Really. The American way is that it's okay, you can make money. I really don't mind Amazon. Amazon's fine. It's a great idea. It has worked. Problem is, you don't pay your workers a livable wage or give them health care because you want your 10th yacht, Jeff. If you give those people a livable wage, a good workplace, and health care, it reduces your profit margin by this much. Or you raise your prices a little bit. This whole thing about it that rich people will not do business if they're taxed is bullshit. We know it's bullshit because in the 50s they were getting taxed 90%. This is old shit. But what Trump is doing is taking away the American way. Actually, Reagan took it away when he took away manufacturing in the 80s with the trickle-down theory. So that's where we're trying to get back to. Opportunity, the American way. Raw dog. I think Vivek Ramaswamy has no idea what he's doing. Yeah, that look at Costco. They do better because they're. Yeah, same thing. And same thing with Walmart. Pay your people. Walmart. Let's talk about real quick. I want to bring up something that bugs me. That's bugged me for a little while. Do you know before Trump met with Zoran Mondami and fell in love? I'm still trying to wrap my head about that whole thing. They had a resolution that came to the House. Again, no legislation, nothing to help Americans. A resolution condemning socialism. 86 Democrats put their name on it, including Hakeem Jeffries. That may cost him his seat in the primary. And I saw that, I'm going, you guys have no idea what socialism is. Let me make it clear. Socialism is Medicare, Medicaid, your Social Security, SNAP, Walmart letting Walmart underpaying their people, Walmart getting a certain amount from the government to pay for certain payroll people because they don't have certain hours or they don't make enough money. They get a stipend for those people, so they don't pay them. They don't do them full time, so they get money. And then they go to SNAP, which is socialism. See, they signed that thing because it's performative, and again, corporate Democrats being fed by their donors. Oh, you don't want that. Oh no, you don't want to go against us. Fuck you. That's all socialism. Fire department, like Bo says, that's socialism. Police, socialism. Roads, socialism. I mean, it's ignorant to do that. And the idea, what the social they're talking about is, hey, let's adjust it a little bit where the government will help you with your prices of groceries, like they want to do in New York, or free bus transportation, because it won't cost that much for taxes on the upper rich. Let everyone pay their fair share. And let's have a safety net so everyone can fall into it. Well, I don't want people to do nothing if they got. Who cares? That's not their business. See, that's another thing about the American way that got perverted. Mind your own fucking business. I don't care if my neighbor is using welfare or food stamps. That's their business. If my neighbor needs help and asks me, I will help them. And if I help them to my taxes, fine. I hate you people who say that. Because let me make it clear, the majority of you are one bad day away for being there. Debinar says it good. No one has to actually work for a living. That's true. That's part of the problem. They've always had people kind of bail them out. If you think about it, Trump failed most of the time in his life. Has he ever built anything successful from nothing? Like a lot of people did. A lot of the rich people. And your answer will be no. Was he bailed out by his dad and other people? Yes. He always got help. I.e., Russia. Maybe. That's part of it. I was going to say, The Apprentice. He's never had a success. And he sold himself. He was a con man and a half. Do you know, I saw this come across, I get a lot of newsletters, and one of them is the Hollywood Reporter. And I see that Trump is pushing them to greenlight a new version of Home Alone. Oh, okay. Why do you care? Because you were in one of the movies for 5 seconds? I mean, this is his priorities. That is weird. I mean, it's beyond weird. I can't even believe I saw that, I'm going, what? And it's just, you just gotta go, shit. And it's just, I don't think that Democrats got shoved on. No, he just was a rich kid who never really got what he wanted. I live in Southland, and they really think he's a god. That's part of the problem. Because he's been adopted by the evangelical cults. Evangelicals are a cult. Because they don't serve God, they serve their pastors. And we saw that really quickly with that social experiment that the woman did about the baby formula. And they got all chapped ass about it. Social experiments have been going on forever, ladies and gentlemen. They did a whole show going, What Would You Do? Remember that on ABC? That's a social experiment. Did you ever see that show? Okay, they should have done that in a church and really got a good reaction. That lady did, and another woman did it in UK and found out that the only people that helped her were mosques, which basically destroyed the idea that all Islamic faith is evil. And again, not all Christianity is evil. What it is the churches that have become perverted. I will give it credit to the Catholic Church. They're trying to, under this new American Pope, they're trying to adjust, and he's not taking shit from anyone. He is literally going after the Trump extreme. Let's see here. They have a church down here. They grow back and moves it. Yeah, right. So she's a lizard, Arthur Dodger. She's part lizard. You know, I saw that in a Spider-Man cartoon episode. Just so you know. But just a reminder, since we're kind of, I'm going to go to about 8 today. So if you do like the live, like it, any gifts would be appreciated. Thank you. Every little bit helps out with anything. By the way, you can't contribute. I have a paid subscription on Substack if you want to contribute. I don't have stuff behind a paywall. I still will do my can to Substack. If you want to help me out, subscribe. I would appreciate it. Any donations is great. You can reach me at KUMQUAT, the number 6 at Outlook.com. I have a PayPal Venmo link. I will send it to you. I want to thank you because your donations paid for this. The cane that helped me out quite a bit, helped my mobility, and hopefully I give you guys something as we do these discussions, because it's therapeutic for me. But apparently, a lot of people say that I give them something, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, I really appreciate that. So any kind of help would be appreciated. That being said, moving on. So we're coming up to the holiday. Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate your kind words. We're coming up to the holidays. And the problem with a lot of holidays, recently, there's so much things you want to do holiday-wise. It's kind of funny, my kids are all adults. Everyone lives at home. I don't give a fuck. I mean, good luck getting a, bad enough. My son finally oldest son got a job, and, my daughter lives here because I wouldn't let her out. It's good luck trying to find an apartment here in Atlanta. Good God almighty. My youngest is looking his way. I have no problem with that because we're all family. And I remember Christmas and holidays is real special to them to this day. We have our own little traditions. I think that's kind of cool. And tomorrow I'm going to be down getting the turkey ready, doing the cooking. Is it work? Yeah. Is it fun? Yeah. Especially when it comes out right. If you ever see, I'm not like Bob on Bob's Burger. That is the best episode of that show is the holiday ones, because to watch him just to basically, conspire with the turkey is just too much. I just love it because it's true. Because as someone who wants to get it right for everyone every year, it really is important. It matters. This seems weird, but it matters. Christmas the same way. It matters. Okay, but also we kind of lose kind of sense of reflection. And what is Thanksgiving? Why do we have Thanksgiving? I'm going to toss out that Pilgrim thing. They threw that in. If you know the history of Thanksgiving, it's a Civil War holiday. And it was a Civil War. It was a holiday that Lincoln basically put out to celebrate basically the end of the Civil War. There's an episode in Ken Burns' Civil War documentary where they're talking about they had the Civil War. They had the Union Army was having their feast and across the river from the Confederate Army who had nothing, and it was just kind of a point on there. But we're supposed to be thankful, give thanks to everything that's around us. And the sad thing is that recently it's been perverted. Every holiday has been perverted by the Trump regime and Trump himself. He doesn't give true thanks. He wants you to give him part of himself. Half the time it's like many people give him their souls to him. sadly. So you have to understand, what are you thankful for? And the thing about it is, it's easy to say, with everything going on, fuck it. I'm thankful for anything. And considering that life can be a hard thing, a fearful thing. See, they have played on our fears for many years. Fake fears. But the fake fears hide the true fears of your life. Harlan Ellison once wrote about horror and fear. And his point was, I don't fear the monster. We create the monsters. The alien monster. Dracula, Frankenstein, Freddy, Michael Myers. The things in the background, the things in the dark. Why do we create those? Because it gets us away from the true fears of our lives. What do you fear? Do you fear the monster that's in the imagination? Or do you fear coming up on the first? Do I have enough to make my rent? Do I have enough to pay for groceries? Will I have enough to get my medication? Will I have enough gas to get to work? See, that's fear. Happy Thanksgiving, G. I appreciate you. That's fear. That's the fear we live with every day as living life, okay? And we have to work our way through the fear to find solutions to those issues in our lives. And it's not easy. Trust me, right now I'm dealing with the biggest fears in my life. And it's fearful and it's scary, but then you take a deep breath and go, now how do I deal with it? Okay, and that's the problem with what's going on with America right now, is that they have Republicans, Trump, and everyone, and going back to the Reagan, have fed on the fear of your daily life without giving you a solution to help deal with it. Everyone is scared. Everyone is worried. Yes. But they don't give you solutions. And if people present solutions, they make them fearful of the solution. American Care Act. Oh, no, that's socialism. You don't want that. That's bad for you. But it's actually good for you. Well, why should people, everything you can think of, everything they do, Medicare, why should we care about them? Or why should people have health care? I mean, that's bad because it takes your money. No, it's good because it helps everybody else. It alleviates a fear. It makes people feel better. It makes people less scared. And then they can move on to other things in their life. Do you know the feeling when your bills are paid? And you can look at that and go, oh, great, now I can do some other stuff. But every day, people in this country struggle because because they don't have solutions. They're at the end of their personal solution on where to get the next meal, to pay the light bill, to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage, to get gas in their car, to have a job. They run out of their personal solutions because they are pressed in a corner by those above us who keep us in there. Because the solutions are easy if you have a functioning government that allows business to actually do true manufacturing. Reinvest in America. You know, all the wind farm that Trump keeps trying to kill, do you know how much money is involved in that? How much money that saves everyone? They're talking about electricity prices going up. That's because of this AI bullshit. Because it sucks power from the grid, and you have to replace it outside, which is more power, which is more expensive. But wind power can solve that. But we're dealing with ignorance, right? Oil doesn't solve everything, okay? And we were building toward that. But we let our fear of the other and our fear of everything get in the way of solving our true fears in our life. Life is just trying to figure out how to resolve our fears. As simple as that. And they keep you down in that, as G.I. said, stagnation of fear, stagnation of I don't know what to do next, because they want you there. Now, I'm going to say this straight up to everyone. When something happens to you, you are allowed to panic and get upset and cry and fucking whine. That is fine. Trust me, I've done that the last few days, this last month. But after that, you have to take a deep breath. It's funny because my wife today, because when she got the diagnosis, she talked to the office and I said, yeah, we're going to talk to the surgeon. We're going to set an appointment, but we're off Wednesday. We're on until midnight Wednesday. We should be on Friday. They're going to get back to you. And now they haven't gotten back to her. So today, she's asking me, well, I'm not going to call them because they're going to close the office at 12. He goes, you think that's right? I go, yeah. Because there's probably no one in the office. It's a skeleton crew. And if they don't call you Friday, then we're going to call them on Monday because we have to move forward. Oh, we know. We just, we just don't know. We have to set up the surgery and see what we need to do. It's the holiday. As I told Bren in a message, we're at the, it's a holiday. We really haven't talked to the surgeon yet, and we're trying not to fucking panic at this panic stage. And that's what I told my wife. I told her no. What we're going to do is that we're going to get through the holiday. If you don't hear from them on Friday, we're going to call them on Monday, and we're going to press this and get you to the surgeon one way or the other. Okay? Because we have to stay on top of it because it's the holiday. It's the holiday season, and people got other things in their mind, and we're not on their list. And I don't mean that as a cruel thing to them. No, because it's their job. All right, this is our problem. It's their job, if that makes sense. And so that's the idea of trying to solve it. And trust me, I am the worst person when it comes down to this shit. Okay? My wife will tell you, I am not good. I will lose my shit. Or they call crash out now. At times. Alright? Yeah, I will, G.I. I'm going to let you guys know. And I appreciate your care. And like I said, I told you people because I need the therapy. And I'll be honest, I need the support through all this. Because, yeah, we will. Because my wife is. And we're going to get through this. Because she ain't going nowhere. She is not going anywhere. As simple as that. Alright? And then in January, we all react first. It's okay to react first. It's just that we have to come back from it. Okay? Why are you suggesting I invite CNN as a guest? Go kiss my ass. Sorry, that just came up my feed. I figured this shit out at the time of TikTok. But, yeah, that's the thing. We're all allowed to react. I mean, when my wife told me, it was like, and so now we're just trying to get step by step by step by step. Now, I mean, even me, I have to take care of this valve problem. I still have to take care of my knee issues. But that's going to be a step by step by step. And I can't panic on it. I just got to keep an eye out. But right now, my wife's the concern. So why is she bringing this up? Again, like I said, there's politics. It's really, politics is about solutions normally. Compromise to find solutions for everybody in America. The problem is it's become a fear-mongering bullshit since then. Fear has become the coin. And solutions have become a secondary act. Look at how they deal with everything. They're still talking about getting rid of they're still talking about abortions and money for states in the ACA. They want to make sure that your health care doesn't pay for your abortion. In other words, a woman's health care that they can label as an abortion. Okay? And I hear that, and I'm thinking, do you guys do understand what's going around in the world, and you're still stuck in these small little things? And I think that's what's going to cost them. Republicans are going to pay a price soon, because you can't govern like this. It's impossible to govern, like this, because they're not governing. They are just out there trying to make money and everything. And what we have to do is remind people that we need to find people who have solutions to our fears. I need a job. How are you going to help me get a job? My kids need a good education. How are you going to help me get around that? What happens? I mean, that's the thing. That is the biggest thing right now, is the fear. And I'm not talking about what they do. They fearmonger. I'm talking about your life. And I don't mean that you live your life in fear. Everyone has his fears, but it's the courage to go beyond it and see what you're going to do at that point. I don't want to get all philosophical on y'all. Maybe I am, but kind of look at it in your life that way. That governments talk about all these policies and stuff, but the policy is a solution to our fears. Job, food, all of it, power, self-respect, safety, security. The ones that feed on those fears are the ones who have no solutions, or the solution is make the other person suffer. If you look at the immigration thing, it's an easy solution through courts, through reasonable immigration policy, reasonable border patrol control, and making sure people have a pathway to citizenship. And also, it helps the economy. What was their solution? Fear. Fear the other person, and we're going to get rid of them, and we're going to show you how tough we are. That's not toughness, that's fear. Why do you think every time an ICE agent is stood up, there's fear in their eyes? Because they know they're wrong. Common decency. So it's a complex thing. It's not easy. I guess the hardest thing for everything, it's not easy. It's not easy solutions. And anyone who tries to sell you an easy solution is a liar. Okay? There's always a catch. There's no such thing as a free lunch. You've heard that bullshit for years, I assume. I have to. But sometimes there's no such thing as a free lunch. It's just that the lunch you get isn't what you expected. You expected more for what you're paying for it. And I think that's what we're thinking on. So, I mean, it's been... I sit here and I think about everything that I talk about a lot. And it all comes down to, we as a people have to decide that we're going to find a solution to our fear. And the biggest solution to that fear is we have to get rid of people who will not help us, help alleviate that fear. They just feed our fear. See what I'm saying? Even those Democrats who say, yeah, well, if you don't vote for me, then I'm going to lose the election and it'll be worse. That's a fear. That's a fear. You're feeding my fear. No. You should be telling me what you're going to do for me, guys. What you going to do? All right, don't tell me not to vote for the other person because you're better because of what? You're still doing the same thing. So the same thing the other side does. I mean, it's not easy. And solutions sometimes don't work. And then we have to keep it, then we have to look for other solutions. Yeah, keep it simple. Don't overthink it. And that's the hardest thing that everything. People overthink everything because that's where we are. And those of you who are not well off, You have the biggest fears in your lives. And they feed you that fears with solutions that don't work for you. That's how he captures those people. And also, the religious aspect, I'm going to bring up something from my, I had a class in Mesoamerican art, pre-Columbian art. But we talked about, also later on, what happened when the Spanish conquered the Americas. And one of the things that they did through religion was to show that being poor was closer to God than being rich. The idea of being poor was more what makes you a better person than the rich person, and that's the way they always phrased it. People, if you look at it, that's how they always tell the rich people. The rich are miserable and they don't like their money, but the poor people are okay. No, it's just an excuse, and religion was used to keep the poor poor. Hence Marx's term, religion is the opium of the masses. You didn't see social media, but the point being is that that's the thing. It's an excuse for you to be put down by the rich. And to an extent, he was right. Again, communism is a fake thing. Trust me. If anyone calls you a communist, they have no fucking idea what that is. Okay, it was an economic system that got perverted to a social system by the very top of the party. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer, even within those systems. Or, as they said in Animal Farm, all animals are created equal, but some are more equal than others. There you are. But the point being is that we keep being conned that we cannot have money or can have good things because that would make us bad. No. We can have a good life. We could have a good life. We just don't have to have a miserable life and not fed by these oligarchs who seem to get a kind of a weird vibe, or it's kind of a kink for them. You want to see how quickly you can ruin something? Do y'all know how old Campbell's Soup is, or the Campbell's Company is? It was created in 1860. This is an old damn company, okay? Campbell's Soup has been in everybody's life. Anyone who doesn't know a good bowl of Campbell's tomato soup and a sandwich, that's some good eating, okay? Let's be honest, okay? It's a good thing. I remember those commercials. It's true, okay? Now, when you're a corporation, though, and you forget where you came from, Campbell's Soup is finding out really quick. One, to have an IT guy, to have a vice president of your IT department hate your company, makes me wonder who the fuck hired him. Who did not vet him correctly? His job is to run the IT department, not have comments on what is made by your company. 2, when you have a meeting with an employee and you go off, there is something wrong with you, VP. And 3, HR. When that employee, as a member of a huge company myself, goes to HR and goes, hey, you gotta listen to this. This guy is violating every rule in the book. Every rule. But instead of dealing with the vice president, you fire the employee who reported him, and he decides to sue, and in discovery, this comes out. That's when you lose sight of what you are. You get too big, and instead of dealing with that gentleman, because if he came out and you fired him, he said, well, I got fired for, people would say, hey, this is what he said. And that's why we fired him, and he is not representative of the Campbell Corporation. You know how simple that would have been? But no, someone in your corporate HR department didn't have the sack to do the right thing, and now you are paying the price. 160 years of goodwill pissed down the drain. Because that man went after your consumers. You can't get away from that. And then, here's the thing. I worked in the brewing industry, okay? You get any kind of rumor that there's something wrong with your product, you're dead, okay? You're dead. I work in an industry that deals with a lot of personal information. A leak, an idea that we were hacked, will ruin us. You have a guy who literally said that it is made out of 3D printer chicken, that he didn't like it, that he disparaged your product while working for your fucking company, and you fired the employee who did the right thing to report his words. That is on you, you dumbasses. Who made that decision? Honestly, who made that decision? I'm waiting, because as corporate PR, that's the stupidest thing, and you violated that guy's going to get paid because you violated your own right. I know you have rules about what he said in the workplace. Every company has. And the HR department is there to adjudicate that. And you get someone like that, that man should have been asked very quietly to resign. You don't have to make a big deal out of it. Tell the employee, thank you very much. We're going to deal with it. And then go to the guy, show the evidence, and goes, please resign. We're asking you to resign now. No, you're going to resign right now. Because you could find another VP of IT anywhere. Please. I don't know if that guy's still working for the company. If you do know, then they really effed up. But see, that's what happens when corporations lose sight of their customers. Same thing with Amazon. Hey guys, don't lose sight of your customers or the people who work for you. Same thing for Walmart. You're going to pay these prices. This is the price you pay for your arrogance and your fear of not doing the right thing. That's what I believe that we're going to see right now as we watch the fall of the Trump regime. Because right now, with everything going on, as I get away from as Suave Debonar says, the great soup scandal of 2025. Good Lord. That's what, I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but I'm watching the spiral of down of the Trump regime, and it took them less than a year because Trump just wanted to do so much so quick. I think part of it is, part of this live has been about, his mortality. He hears him, the Grim Reaper, whispering in his ear, your knees don't work as well, you're as fatigued more, your mind doesn't work as sharp. For all his dementia, he realizes that. He smells it, he feels it, he smells it. He knows. Yeah, G, right. Have a good Turkey Day. I'm about ready to call it today, but I appreciate you. Thank you for all your support. Appreciate everything you've done and said. He feels it, and it's reverberating through the entire administration. Did you notice a lot of the stuff they do is desperate? We got to do it now. We have to do it now. Go do it now. Oh my God, we got to do this now. They're pushing. Why? Because they know their time is running out. The election early this month scared the hell out of them. The election Tuesday is going to scare the hell out of them. Even if that person loses, the Democrat loses, if it's very close, that should scare the hell out of them. It could start the cascade of resignations. But we have to be on top of that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have to remember that this is a chance for all of us to take back our country, to take back the American way and the American dream, to care about our neighbors again, to put in governments that care about solutions to our fears. Because they're not problems, they're fears. Remember that. We conquer our fears every day. When we go to work, when we love our families, we do all that. But we have to make sure that we have a government that supports us. And always remember that. Okay, we have opportunities now. Can't blow it. Do I trust Tennessee voters? Hell no. Too many old folk set in their ways. So if she wins, that's going to be a surprise. But I will tell you this. It looks bad at times, and it looks dumb. These people, God, woo, they do some sad shit and say some sad shit. But I'm watching Americans step up, and we don't give up, we don't capitulate. It's the one thing I'm proud of. And that's what I'll say to y'all, because I put myself out here with my health problems, my wife's issues. We don't capitulate. We're like we're Americans. We're going to figure a way out of it. Will I have a whole bunch of medical bills later and everything? Yeah, but I'll figure my way out of that too. But I am not going down without a fight. Either for this country, for my health, my wife's health, and my family. That's the way you look at it. What are you thankful for this Thanksgiving? Your families. What are you thankful for this Thanksgiving? That you can still tell the president to go fuck himself. They haven't taken that from us. They're trying. They haven't, because we won't let them. What are you thankful for? That we still live in a good country that can become great again. Not the way they want it. Nah. The way we kind of remember it, but even better. We are thankful for breathing, being alive. Thankful that the turkey's going to survive. That's the thing. But just remember, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Take a deep breath. Remember that you will conquer all your fears with your own solutions, and there are more of us than there is of them. Thank you for watching this live. Thank you for all your support of everything I've said. If you want to, you can find me on Substack at Binder38US on Substack. Please, if you want, I have some paid subscription. If you want to subscribe, helps me out. I'm on YouTube at Binder38US. Again, here on TikTok, and I always have to find the damn address, RJ12764 at TikTok. Have any questions, anything you want me to address, or if you want to do a one-time donation to help my work, please email me at kumquat6@outlook.com. You guys have a good holiday. Be good to one another, and you all be safe.